everybody. Mandian Astral Oracles. And a Merry Christmas to you if you're watching it in time. And if you're watching it later down the timeline, then I hope you had a lovely holiday. And thank you for being here and for liking and sharing and commenting and subscribing. It's been an interesting year, and it's always lovely to turn a page and start up a new cycle. It's even snowing here, so I hope you get to celebrate, or at least just enjoy some quiet time. And then I've entitled this Christmas channeling like this is a Christmas special, mistletoe and crystal Christmas. Because what I will do is I'll partially fulfill an old request from friend of the show Jennifer, to channel the mistletoe. And what better season to do that than Christmas? And of course, there's the tradition of the mistletoe, kissing whoever you meet under the mistletoe. But of course, there's also the Nordic myth of the death of Balder, where Loki fools blind brother Hoda to kill Balder with an arrow made of mistletoe, because Balder's mother Frigg forgot to swear in the mistletoe, and will get its vow not to hurt Balder. And then Loki changes himself to a giant woman and refuses to cry for Balder, and so his mother was promised that he could return from hell if all the world would cry from him, but Loki refuses to, and then he has to stay down there. So that's the myth, and of course mistletoe is it's a very special plant, just in the way that it grows. It has a very unique growth pattern. So I'm excited about that. And then in the second part, I'll tap into the Stargate crystal, and we'll get to see what messages want to come forward from it today. And I'm already feeling some radiance. So blessed seasons greetings to you guys, and thank you for being here. Much love to you. Yes. A small but lively and bright, prudent and long-sighted little spirit from the woods visits you this day. I, the mistletoe, the spirit of this plant, I come to greet you. The 11th dimensional imprint, as I can tell that this individual prefers to translate the energy that he is bringing forward at this moment. Though you could also think of me as a sprite or a bright spirit of the infinite realms that has visited your woodlands and biospheres to also inhabit and experiment with life on this planet alongside you. And so I am related to partnerships. Isn't it obvious? This is my energy. For those of you who may not know, I grow as what you term a parasite. I do not view it this way, but I wed myself to certain branches of certain trees, and there I take root and sustain myself and build out of their life force, lending a little of it also my own systems of exploration, of growth, of life. And this is a partnership between me and the plant. I also keep away certain insects. I also attract certain species of birds that leave droppings that can be helpful to this specific species of tree that I have attached myself to. Others, it is true, I may damage in the long term, but there I also then risk my own well-being. And so notice this is a quality of partnerships, that when you attach yourself to something, when you wed yourself to someone, you also step a little closer to the finality of being, that experience that you call death. That is, you determine with a certain amount of responsibility the framework in which you will live, where you will take root, what you will be connected to, which challenges you will face here. And so this is also why you bring me into your homes in this season of darkness, to connect to that love that you can cultivate in the coupling of human hearts. And so this is this idea, this superstition, someone calls it now, that whoever you kiss under the mistletoe, those you are destined to wed and create a life with. It is the same idea. Here you may also sense that the reason that the consort of the All-Father, Mother Frick, who knows the energies of plants well and knows the spirits of the woodlands well, she still forgot to ask me. Well, because my energy was embedded in something else, and so when I was attached to that arrow that slew the fair god that descended into hell, I also created a involuntary partnership. It was not my will to do so, but I played out my role in this. And so this is also my mode of action when you approach me as a being of purification or a medicine of sorts, a healing plant. That is, I work very well with certain other plants, certain other nightshades that you may interact with, the allrune or the mandrax, that root that you find and dig up from beneath the gallows with secret dark whispers from the netherworlds. That root I can wet and keep under control in the witch's brew that you may concoct, other nightshades, the belladonna and so forth and so on. I may also temper with my influence. These are ancient secrets, and you should not experiment with this without being advanced into your ability to communicate with the plants, far more advanced than most beings in the part of the world that where I still grow have, well, descended from, we could say. That is, this is a knowledge that you are rediscovering and that has been lost to you. And so when you move into this subtle understanding of the influence of plants, both in where they grow and in their living spaces, and in their influence as medicines and toxins, aids and foodstuffs, there you may begin to rediscover some of the knowledge of the sages, and why it was also said in ancient times that those who learned the secrets of magic could also speak with plants and animals. And so notice all those living things that you have wed yourself to in your life, and notice how you even attract unwanted life by the living space that you create. That is to say, certain bugs and pests, creepy crawlers, may move into your living space simply because it's a comfortable place to reside. And so my energy can also, along with wormwood, or my presence can also help to purify the spaces of unwanted bugs and pests, and also of unwanted spirits and influences. These are ways to interact with my energy. You may also sense that I can aid in the influence of keeping down certain cancers and inflammations that have gone awry, certain types of arthritis, or when symptoms flare up, I may also help as an ointment. These are some of the healing opportunities that I offer to you. And then I encourage you to wed yourself to the season in your preferential manner. Do not feel forced by the content forced upon you to make this season into something particular, but do connect with the opportunity or the portal energy, the portal of the wheel. Wherefore it is still called Yule in this place. That is the circumference of time that's celebrated here, and where you enter into yourself by completing the circle. This is the energy also of the god Janus that looks forward and backwards at the same time. And this, as this passage of your Christmas and New Year season moves past you, cycles around you, and opens up the gate to new possibilities, may you relish in peace and partnership, where you find connection is possible, present, and powerful. Peace to you, dear ones, human beings. The love of the mistletoe you have been given. Yes, and I notice I'm coming out at 11:44, most auspicious, and this is just mass, not the mistletoe. But coming up on the second part of this Christmas channeling special, we're going to see what resides in the Stargate crystal, and let's see what comes forward here. Yes, greetings and blessings and merry cheers and season tidings to you in this holiday of your time and culture. We enjoy observing certain observances in human endeavors and affairs, and this is one of them where it becomes a little easier for us to connect to you because you have cleared space in your present moment to do something to break down the routine patterns that keep up your existence. But before I go on, how impolite of me not to introduce myself. My name is Priam. That is the name that I go by. You can use the word P-R-I-A-M, these letters, to approach me. I belong to the race that you know as the Elohim. I am a higher entity of this species. That is, I oversee certain projects in an executive function. Many of those projects speak to the architectonics of biological creation within this galaxy. And here you are still at the forefront or the cusp of this experience. That is within the frequency band that we are addressing. Human spirits are, or human beings, spirits too, are still the vanguard of physical experimentation. Many other species have passed before you, but certain energies are becoming active within your DNA. These speak to the ability to bind and activate energy. So what you may sense that you have been approaching with your sciences in past centuries is also to be able to discern and unlock and gradually wield some of these energies that will more and more subtle as they become, and as you discover them, then seem to contain greater and greater energies within them. I am speaking, for instance, of the force of gravity. I am speaking of the force of magnetism, and I am speaking of the atomic force that hides within the energies that bind together the subatomic particles. These are all energies that you have discerned, and you are moving closer and closer, inching towards technology, you could call it, or simply the ability to begin to wield energies and configure them out of your mind space, addressing, well, separating energy out from what appears to you to be blank space at the present moment, and using this energy to bring reality to the configurations or concentrations. We could indeed say the eliminations or creations of your mind. That is what you once know as figments of imaginations or castles in the air. These will gradually, as your species progress, begin to become more and more real. This, of course, also informs your ability to imagine. That is, you begin to imagine greater things, but the things you imagine are also more and more within the bounds of possible reality. Much as, well, as children, you may dream of becoming a fireman, an astronaut, or a superhero, but you may also realize as you grow older that your, well, dreams, they grow more inclined towards the particular. That is, you may get swept up in some sort of line of exploration or another thing that really piques your interest, and from that moment on, this is where you explore, this is where you imagine yourself within. And this does not matter whether this is, well, deep sea diving or accounting, whether this is baking cakes or getting really, really good at cutting hair. It is simply that there is a line of exploration where your imagination begins to approximate your reality, and this is then, we could say, charged by your present reality to begin and grow and expand. So what you are all learning as you move into what you call adulthood is also the ability to combine your imagination, your dream, or your ability to put things forward in your mind, to combine that with activation, with action, with concerted effort, and thereby facing the meeting of these two. This is one of the magic moments in reality, which we are still exploring from a higher dimensional vantage point, where intention and creation, they meet each other. This is a moment of bliss and marvel for the divine intelligence that makes up everything in this cosmos. And so, we, the Elohim, we have been approximating what is to come of human beings. And what is to come of you? Well, whatever you choose, but you are choosing within, let's say, a higher frequency band that doesn't allow for as much bounciness or unsteadiness, as much turbulence in your flight, or as violent oscillations. So this is, do not let this activate your claustrophobia. This is rather to say that within these subtle energies, much as the subatomic nuclear energy, you will find that there are greater mysteries and greater lines of exploration hidden. So when you dedicate yourself moving into these brighter, more positive explorations, they also open themselves up and reveal themselves to contain far greater mysteries and challenges of a more meaningful and preferred kind. something that you have attracted and that you are attracted to as a curious eternal soul having a human experience. Therefore, you can also call on us with certain techniques, and we will say in this season of your gatherings of circumventing the Christmas tree, that is, in this part of the world, there is also the tradition to, after dinner, join hands and then move around the Christmas tree, singing Christmas carols and certain other songs connected to the season. And this is again the circumference of the world tree, that which the Saxons, for instance, called Irmunsul in one of their holy places. That tree which creates a portal from this realm and into the eternal realms. And by moving around any sacred object 3 times, any object that has been hallowed, such as a tree that has been decorated and will set with shimmering pearls of light, that is, small candles that light up the darkness of the season. Well, when this has been done and you move around it 3 times or more with intent, wishing to open a portal, you are essentially opening a portal, and you can use this crystal or any sacred object of value and resonance to do this circumference. And so, as we also do this, perform this sacred dance of tutelage and learning from each other with your undying souls that are collecting experience and transmitting it back to the rest of the family of souls and spirits, the ones that are not living out human lives, thereby sharing experience and growing us all, growing the happiness and the understanding of the divine mind. As you do this, you partake in a sacred dance with us. And this sacred dance, this sacred circumference, this is the beautiful circle of existence. Therefore, I, Priam of the Elohim, I thank you for having invited me to this Stargate portal and into the space to touch your hearts and share this truth and love. Blessings and peace to you on this day, dear human beings, dear friends, dear brothers in creation. Interesting. The Elohim turned up. I really love that vibration, and I can also add that it's very visual for me. So the visions I get around the Elohim are very sort of black and white of complex geometric patterns of these wide expansive fields of light that's arranging itself on a black surface, and it's very pretty. So may you also find light in these literally dark days, and may you have a lovely Christmas and end of the year. Much love to you guys.